the axis of evil. You remember that? That was Iran, Iraq, and North fucking Korea? Iran, Iraq, and North Korea, listen up. Well, that was the handiwork of Elliot Abrams, that dirty bastard who has blood on his hands, his legs, his feet, sloshing around inside his shoes from what he did in Central America. And John Bolton, him with the fucked up mustache. Well, Bolton and Abrams and the rest of these warmongers, and they have a new one now, the little Nazi Jew, Stephen Miller, has joined them. They want a war. Trump wants a war. Remember what George Bush said? I'm war president. I'm a war president. And that meant he could get away with any shit that he wanted to get away with. Well, that's coming with Trump. Trump is essentially a cowardly little prick. Okay, a cowardly big prick. But he's still a coward. But he wants a war to solidify American support, because we all know that if we're at war, we support our leader. So John Bolton and Mike Pompeo and Elliot Abrams and Stephen Miller and Steve Mnuchin and the rest of these grimy, grubby fucking gangsters. And Bolton and Abrams should be in prison somewhere. They really should. Murderous bastards. But we don't put those kinds of murderers in prison. There's something about we Americans that we celebrate mass killers. I mean, the ones that practice genocide in this country, like the framers of the Constitution and Columbus and the Europeans that came here, the white people that came here and wiped out 30 million native people because they had no defense against diseases, guns, germs, and what was the other thing? A book was written about this a couple years ago. Where was I? So Elliot Abrams, even though he was responsible directly for the deaths of 250,000 Central Americans, he wound up serving on boards of big, important right-wing organizations and being paid quite well for all the murder and mayhem that he encouraged and oversaw. Bolton has been wanting some fucking blood. Bolton is a vampire. As long as he has blood, he looks healthy. When he doesn't get blood, he starts to look peaked, and that bushy mustache starts to quiver. You know why he has that mustache? Because his lip is fucked up, and if he didn't have the mustache, you could see the fangs. They're right there. So what did they do, Mike? Justice Department officials today confirmed that the U.S. has seized a North Korean ship that was being used to transport coal for sale, allegedly in violation of American-led sanctions. The first move by Justice Department officials as they ratchet up enforcement efforts against Kim. I didn't know the Justice Department, did you, had the power to commit acts of war on the high seas? I had no idea. I guess I should have known that. Officials at the Justice Department, the Injustice Department, confirmed today that the vessel that they seized, the Wise Honest, don't you love the way the North Koreans use English? The boat is called the Wise Honest. The Wise Honest is approaching U.S. territorial waters in American Samoa. It's being taken there in coordination with the U.S. Marshals and the Coast Guard. I didn't know we had a fucking coast in, American Samoa. That's right. We own that. Assistant Attorney General John Demers, another right-wing white Christian fucking Nazi, announced a seizure today, and he said, quote, "This sanctions-busting ship is now out of service," end quote. Now, the boat, just for shits and giggles, I have some stats here about it. It's a 17,000-ton single-hull bulk carrier. Single-hull carriers are kind of passé, but this is North Korea. This happens to be one of North Korea's largest. Uh-oh. And our leadership in this country, U.S. authorities, say that this boat, the Wise Honest, is part of a network of North Korean vessels illicitly shipping coal from North Korea and bringing back heavy machinery in violation of U.S. sanctions and UN sanctions, too. Last year, according to the Washington Post, Indonesian authorities stopped the ship on suspicion of violating sanctions. More recently, Indonesia allowed the ship to offload its coal cargo onto another vessel, which then departed for Malaysia. All kinds of intrigue shit going on, right? Well, we're going to put a stop to it. Demers, that's the Assistant Attorney General. Never heard of him, have you? Demers. He said, quote, "That was something that was not in our control." The Indonesian thing. And this asshole added that the United States would like to seize other ships used by North Korea to violate sanctions. I thought Trump was in love with Kim. Isn't that what he said? Don't they write love letters, little mash notes back and forth? That was the impression I got. Now, the announcement that the U.S. had committed an act of war on the high seas, that announcement came just a few hours after North Korea launched a pair of short-range missiles. That was North Korea's second such test in this week. Jeffrey Berman, the U.S. attorney in New York, whose office filed the complaint against North Korea, said, quote, "There's no connection at all between the missiles and the seizure of the Wise Honest. No connection. And if you think you see one, that is a mirage." And then separately today, U.S. military officials conducted a launch of an ICBM from an Air Force facility in California. It was the second test of the U.S. Minuteman III missile this month and the third this year, though the Air Force maintains, they're the ones that handle these launches, they say, no, this is activity we've scheduled years in advance, has nothing to do with world events. Who are you going to believe? Us or your lying fucking eyes? Who are you going to believe? Believe us. Make America great again. Trump, for his part, that slimy son of a bitch, told reporters today that the U.S.-North Korean relationship, quote, "continues, but we'll see what happens. I know they want to negotiate. They're talking about negotiating. I don't think they're ready to negotiate, but they want to negotiate. They're talking about negotiating, but I don't think they're ready to negotiate." Did I already say that? Now, the court papers that were filed in federal court in New York, why New York, I have no idea. I'm sure there's a solid reason for it. But those papers said shipments by the Wise Honest. Name of that fucking boat just cracked. The Wise Honest. um, anyway, the papers said that shipments by the Wise Honest and other North Korean vessels, quote, provide a critical source of revenue, end quote, for North Korea's government and companies based there. So do you think Kim Jong-un, whatever the fuck his name is, do you think young Master Kim is going to say, oh, they seized one of our biggest ships, our beautiful, Wise, Honest, and they're interfering with the revenue we need to just survive. Oh, well, we're just going to sit back and take it. No. The legal filing in federal court in New York that authorized the seizure of the Wise Honest, part of the filing said, quote, large quantities, always reminds me of Saturday Night Live, I swear to God, large quantities of coal were exported from North Korea in violation of United Nations Security Council prohibitions. In return, large shipments of heavy machinery were returned to North Korea using the same vessels, end quote. And the court filing also says payment for improvement of the Wise Honest, payments to make the ship seaworthy, were conducted via U.S. banks. Fucking banks, right? You think the fucking banks care? I mean, this is the thing that gets me about Game of Thrones. They're all the seven kingdoms are ready to just fucking annihilate each other. And in comes the Iron Banker. Where the fuck does he live? Bravos? He lives in Bravos. So Cersei is sitting there and she wants to wipe out everybody who's challenged. Cersei is a sick fucking, she's like the bitch of Buchenwald or worse. Although I did like the way she blew up the holy keep or whatever it was called. The sept. I liked that part. Woo, mother. What? I know none of the terms. No, I'm late to the party, although I have caught up. I love those dragons. But where was I? Oh, yeah. The Iron Banker shows up, just like U.S. banks. U.S. banks. U.S. fucking banks finance this shit so Trump can order an act of war on the high seas. Just like the Iron Banker shows up in Cersei's boudoir and says, well, now, you know, it costs money to wage war. I can provide you with 20,000 mercenaries and the moolah to pay them. But this is what capitalism has done. There's no honor, not just among thieves. There's no honor among politicians. There's no honor among anybody. We live in a system and a society that treats honor like something that little old ladies are supposed to do where it concerns their contributions to the poor box in the local Catholic parish, church or whatever. You know, that's honor. The honor system. There's no honor in capitalism. There can't be. The two are mutually exclusive, always have been, always will be. So, what I'll be looking for tomorrow is what happens next with, as a result of a flat-out act of war. Oh, I know the sanctions are supposed to make seizing another country's ship on the high seas okay. Bullshit. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.